I wasn't planning on doing a video on Halo Infinite so soon, but I was like, fuck it, everyone else seems to be. As it currently stands, it's being flighted, and to many of the fans and community, it's off with flying colours, managing to please pretty much everyone who has been a part of it. I must admit, I've only read into it. I've not watched any gameplay live or otherwise, apart from what 343i has released in previews, because honestly, I'd rather just play it for myself. As let's be honest, it's hard to form an opinion on something you haven't experienced firsthand, much like hearing someone describe an acid trip. But current affairs aside, I'd thought I'd share my side of the spectrum with the game's history. I remember getting incredibly psyched at the Xbox Showcase event, with Halo really being the only game I was actually interested in ahead of time, but I must admit everything else looked pretty damn good. We're not here for those on this day. So the gameplay started and I was in awe. It was one nostalgic moment after another, and I was so chuffed to see a new Halo game finally get revealed. I didn't notice any of the, well, shortcomings. After it ended, my mind was blown. I was like, this is it, a return to form. I thought Sprint should have been omitted, but looking back, it would feel like a downgrade at this point. Anyway, after I started seeing various posts pointing out every issue within the gameplay reveal, I initially thought, oh. My excitement slowly drained after this realisation. Shortly after, 343 announced that the game would be delayed until next year, and at that moment, my excitement turned to apprehension. I was disappointed in a way. The only game I was actually excited for that year had been pushed back. As we all know, there was months of radio silence, not a single glimpse of anything from the development team. Slowly but surely we eventually got a development update with the occasional screenshot, but still no gameplay or any reassurance that what we saw prior was in fact the old gameplay demo created months before its airing was what hit the screen. But then E3 rolled around and our thirst was quenched when Halo Infinite had an entire presentation all to itself. A teaser trailer with Chief and Cortana 2, just enough to get the imagination fired, but that was it for the campaign. The multiplayer finally had its big reveal that everyone had been waiting for. It was a return to form. The classic feel was encapsulated perfectly and it felt like a step in the right direction. This is it, I thought. The globe-conquering game franchise has risen, like a phoenix from the ashes, but only time would tell if it was worth the delay. So, if a 343 employee happens to stumble across this video, then well, I'd just like to say thank you. You've done the seemingly impossible and regained faith in the community after a few missteps over the past decade. I've already aired my grievance with Halo 5 in my full review, but I'll say this much, it could have been better. But with Halo Infinite, it seems like the company has listened to the passionate fans and took on board their criticism, and I've put every ounce of energy into making Halo Infinite what the community has longed for. It's apparent that the studio has learned from its mistakes, and instead of hiring casual fans in a bid to make it more accessible, they've hired the very best and brightest creators with a deep love and knowledge of the franchise, who understands what made it so great to begin with. And with that newly found realisation shows how far the studio has come since its formation, and it's simply heartwarming. So with that in mind, I raise to you my glass. As much like Noble 6, you gave all you had to succeed. Well, I think that about covers it. Signing off.